I used to believe independence was just a quiet apartment, a steady job, and my own set of house keys. Turns out, independence becomes a battle when the people who raised you refuse to let go. Everything began the day I caught my mother inside my apartment, even though I had never given her a key. It was a Tuesday. I'd come home exhausted from work, burnt out, craving nothing but silence. When I opened the door, a scent of boiling lentils and lemon cleaner hit my nose. My first thought was, did I leave something on the stove? My second thought was, no, this smells too fresh. I rounded the corner and froze. My mother stood in the kitchen wearing gloves, scrubbing my sink like she owned the place. My father lounged on my couch, remote in hand, feet comfortably propped up on my coffee table. "You're home early," my mom chirped. Early? It was 6:14 p.m. I stood stunned. What are you doing here? How did you get in? My dad shrugged without shame. We used the old key from your first apartment. Turns out the locks here are the same brand. Lucky us. Lucky? I felt my stomach twist. I tried to explain, slowly, carefully, that they couldn't just let themselves in. They both stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. "We're your parents," my mom insisted. "You should be grateful we're checking on you. You never invite us." "You should be grateful we cleaned up your mess," my dad added. "Your sink was disgusting." My hands trembled, not with fear, but a strange mix of anger and betrayal. "This is my home. You can't come in whenever you want." My mother scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." But it didn't stop there. The unsettling incidents began. The following week, I noticed small signs only someone living alone would detect. My laundry basket was rearranged, my bathroom towels folded differently, a plate I left in the sink was suddenly washed. One night, I found my mail stacked neatly in a pile on the kitchen counter, except my mailbox key was in my drawer. Someone had entered again. I changed the locks that night, spent my last $180 on a reinforced deadbolt. I finally slept feeling somewhat safe, until the scratching happened. The scratch on the door. It was 10:47 p.m. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it, the faint metallic scraping at my front lock. My heart jumped into my throat. I turned off the bathroom light and crept toward the door. Scritch, scratch. Someone was picking the lock. I grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy ceramic vase, lifted it above my head and held my breath. Seconds later, I heard my mother whisper, "Why isn't the key working? Did she change it?" My father whispered back, irritated, "She's hiding something, I know it. Nobody changes locks without a reason." I had to clamp my trembling hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. They tried for another full minute before giving up. After they left, I slid to the floor shaking. They hadn't even tried knocking. They came to enter, not visit. The next morning, I confronted them. My father didn't deny it. "We wanted to make sure you were okay. You never answer the phone. You're so secretive these days." Secretive? I had a job, bills, a life, but to them, anything outside their control felt suspicious. That night, I stared at my ceiling, overwhelmed by a feeling I had never associated with my parents before: fear. The breaking point, the 2 a.m. window incident. It happened 4 days later. At 2 a.m., I woke to the soft creak of my living room window sliding open. For a moment, I thought it was a dream, until I heard feet hitting the floor. I bolted upright, terror exploding through me. Someone was inside. I grabbed a lamp and tiptoed forward, my breath shallow, heart pounding. As the figures stepped into the dim moonlight, I was about to swing when I heard my father's voice. "What's taking you so long? Just climb in." My mother climbed in behind him. "She's probably asleep. We'll wake her together." I nearly dropped the lamp. You broke into my house?" I screamed. My father flinched, surprised. "You scared us. Why are you yelling?" "Because it's night. People sleep at night." My mother had the audacity to look offended. "We brought biryani. You love biryani." You climbed through my window. Because you wouldn't open the door, my father snapped. If you had nothing to hide, you'd let us in. There it was, the truth I'd been avoiding. This wasn't about love, it was about control. Their concern had become surveillance. Their care had become intrusion. Their visits had become break-ins. That night, after they left storming and defended, I sat alone on my floor, shaking, staring at the window they had crawled through. I realized something hard, painful, but necessary. If I didn't escape, I'd lose my sanity. If I didn't disappear, I'd lose myself. And that's when the plan formed in my mind. Quiet, dangerous, and absolutely necessary. I would move. Not tomorrow, not next week. I would disappear without telling them. I would make them face consequences for the first time in their lives. I didn't sleep after that night. Every sound, the hum of the fridge, the wind brushing the window pane, even my own footsteps felt like warnings. I knew one thing for sure. If my parents could break in once, they could do it again. And next time, I might not wake up before they were standing over me. So the very next morning, I pulled out a notebook and began planning an escape. Quietly, secretly, methodically. I couldn't move suddenly. My parents had developed this strange habit of surprise dropping by at random hours of the day, sometimes morning, sometimes evening, sometimes midnight. And every time they would check the closets, the refrigerator, and even under my bed like they were searching for sins. So if they noticed boxes or missing items, they'd interrogate me for hours. I started packing in tiny steps. A few clothes at a time. A book here, a mug there. Items wrapped in towels to keep them quiet while I lowered them into bags. I took boxes one by one to my office storage room during lunch breaks. For bigger items, I posted them online anonymously and sold them. The apartment grew emptier, but never noticeably so. All the while, I smiled at my parents like nothing was happening. Inside, I was counting days and watching my back. 5 days into my escape preparations, something happened that shook me so deeply it erased any guilt I had about leaving. I had installed a small motion-detecting camera near my living room door, hidden inside a decorative candle. It wasn't fancy. It recorded only when something moved. One afternoon at work, I got a notification on my phone. Motion detected. Living room. My heart sank. I ducked into the stairwell and opened the video. What I saw made my blood drain. My parents had entered my apartment again. Not through the door, not through the window, but by convincing a maintenance worker that they were checking on their daughter's welfare. The poor guy let them in, thinking he was helping. In the footage, my mother rifled through my freezer. My father opened my bedroom drawer. They even inspected my laundry hamper. Then I heard my mother say, "She's hiding something. Nobody keeps their underwear drawer this empty unless they're planning something." My father replied, "If she thinks she can move without telling us, she's out of her mind." Chills ran through me. They were not just breaking in, they were monitoring me, tracking me, studying my habits, trying to maintain control over a life that wasn't theirs to own anymore. Something inside me hardened, a cold, unshakable clarity. I wasn't just moving, I was escaping captivity disguised as parenting. I found a new apartment, a tiny basement loft in a quiet neighborhood 20 minutes away. No fancy views, no natural sunlight, but the first time I stepped inside, I exhaled. It smelled like dust and old paint, but to me, it smelled like freedom. I signed the lease that same day. To avoid suspicion, I scheduled the move for 5 a.m. on a Sunday, my parents' sleep-in day. I hired a small moving truck with a driver who didn't ask questions. Every item I had stored at my workplace was loaded quietly. By the time the sun rose, my old apartment was empty, and for the first time in months, I felt a spark of hope. Then, the phone started blowing up.
32 missed calls, 17 messages. My mother, "Where are you? Your door is unlocked. Everything is gone. What have you done?" My father, "Call me now or we're coming inside." I turned off my phone, not out of cruelty, out of survival. By noon, I was settling into my new apartment, calming my racing heartbeat. My hands still smelled of cardboard and dust. Then my phone vibrated again. I turned it on reluctantly, and the first message I saw stopped my breath. "Mom, there are police outside your apartment. They think we broke in." I sat up straight. Police? Another message came in seconds later. "Dad, they said the apartment is empty and someone forced entry. They won't listen to us. They're asking for ID." Then, "Mom, they want to detain us for trespassing. Where are you? What did you do?" My heart hammered. I hadn't called the police. They weren't my doing. Little did my parents know, my old apartment building had installed motion sensors in empty units that automatically alerted authorities to any forced entry. Since the place was now vacant and my parents were climbing in like burglars, the system flagged them instantly. For the first time, their actions had consequences. Real ones. Legal ones. I let them panic for a few minutes while I gathered my thoughts. Then I called. My mother answered in a breathless, frantic voice. "They think we broke in. They're questioning us. Tell them we're allowed inside. Tell them." I inhaled slowly. "You're not allowed inside." My voice was calm, colder than I intended. "You never were." "What are you saying?" my mother whispered, horrified. "You broke in. Over and over, and now you're being treated the way anyone would be treated for breaking into someone's home." My father's voice thundered in the background. "Explain to them now." "I can't, because it wouldn't be true." Silence. A long, devastating silence. For the first time in my life, they realized they had crossed a line so far there was no pretending anymore. The police questioned them for nearly an hour. No arrests, just warnings, official records, a stern lecture about boundaries, privacy, and trespassing laws. For people used to controlling everything, it was humiliating. The final message I received that day said, "Why would you do this to us?" But deep inside, I knew I didn't do anything to them. They did this to themselves.
For the next 3 weeks, my phone remained strangely silent. No surprise calls, no unannounced visits, no guilt-tripping texts. Instead, I lived quietly in my new basement loft, where the only noises were the hum of the small fridge and the occasional thump of pipes. For the first time in years, my life belonged to me. I slept deeply. I cooked when I wanted. I came home without dreading who might be waiting inside. Freedom didn't feel loud or dramatic. It felt like breathing. But eventually, I knew something else was coming. My parents had been confronted, not by me, but by reality, and reality had slapped hard. It was only a matter of time before they reached out again. And then, one evening, as I sat eating noodles on my couch, my phone buzzed. A single message from my mother. "Can we meet? We promise to respect your boundaries. Please, just talk to us." I stared at those words for a long time. I didn't trust them yet. I didn't hate them ever, but I needed closure. So I agreed. We met at a small cafe near the river, neutral territory. When I walked in, my parents were already seated. They looked smaller than I remembered. My mother's eyes were puffy, lined with guilt. My father sat stiffly, hands folded, staring at the table like it held answers he'd been searching for. For the first time in maybe forever, they weren't angry. They weren't defensive. They weren't demanding. They were humbled. My mother spoke first, her voice shaky. "We didn't realize how far we went." My father swallowed hard before adding, "We thought we were protecting you, but maybe we were protecting ourselves instead from feeling like we were losing you." I sat down slowly. "Losing me isn't the same as not controlling me," I said gently. My dad flinched at the word controlling, but he didn't argue. Not anymore. For the next hour, the three of us had a conversation we should have had years ago. I told them how unsafe I felt, how I jumped at every sound, how their unannounced visits made me feel violated, not loved. My mother cried quietly. "I thought if I wasn't constantly checking, something terrible would happen to you." My father shook his head at himself. "I broke in because I thought you were hiding something. I didn't realize I was breaking your trust." I nodded. "I wasn't hiding anything. I was just living, and you never gave me the space to do that." They listened, really listened, for once. No excuses, no anger, no twisting the narrative. Just acceptance. And then something happened I never expected. My father reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small metal ring. On it were 3 keys. One to my old apartment door, one to the window latch, one I'd never even seen before. He placed them on the table. My mother added 2 more. My chest tightened. "You had 5 keys to my place?" I whispered. "We made copies," she admitted, "but we're giving them back. All of them." My father's voice cracked. "We're done interfering. We're done spying. We're done barging in. We want you in our lives, but not by force." My throat tightened with emotion. This wasn't manipulation. This wasn't control. This was surrender. And it was genuine. We spent another hour creating a set of new boundaries. No entering my home without permission, no unannounced visits, no guilt-tripping or emotional manipulation, no duplicate keys, communication only with mutual respect. Every time my parents nodded, promising to follow every rule, and for once, I believed them. I saw fear in their eyes, not fear of consequences, but fear of losing me for good. At the end of the conversation, my mother took my hand, squeezing it gently. "We never wanted to hurt you," she whispered. "We just didn't know how to let you grow." I covered her hand with mine. "And I never wanted to run away. I just needed to breathe." She smiled tearfully. "We'll let you breathe now, but don't disappear again. We want to earn your trust back." My father leaned in, voice thick with emotion. "You're our child, not our property. We understand that now." Those words, I didn't know how much I needed them until I heard them. We walked out of the cafe together. A soft evening breeze drifted across the water. My parents hugged me, not tightly, not possessively, but gently, respectfully. When my mother let go, she whispered, "I'm proud of you. You chose yourself, and even though it hurt us, you were right." For the first time in years, I hugged her back without hesitation. No fear, no resentment, just love. A healthier kind, a free kind. That night, when I returned to my little basement loft, it felt different. Not like a hiding place, but a home. My space, my rules, my life, and now a family that understood that. That was the happy ending I didn't expect, but the one I truly deserved.